Hey there, welcome to the Knowledge of Self Academy, your go-to spot for deep insights. In this vid, we're hyped to give you a straight-up rundown of what went down in lectures 1 and 2 of Season 1. We took some heavy academic stuff and broke it down to show how indoctrination messes with our vibes, moves, and how we peep the world. On this ride, we'll dig into how language shapes our view of life and how it's all wrapped up with indoctrination and chasing after stuff. Plus, we'll shout out the power of looking inside ourselves to figure out why we do what we do. We ain't skipping over biases and how they mess with our adaptability and how we see others. And we're getting real about how our feelings call the shots when it comes to making choices, especially when we're dealing with heavy stuff like depression and anxiety. You'll see how doing stuff over and over helps us get better and how the words we use shape our whole reality. We're also gonna ask some tough questions about why we see the world the way we do, especially when we share the same life lessons. And we're diving deep into emotions, peeling back the layers to see how they steer our thoughts and actions. We'll talk about how getting caught up in what other people say can make us forget who we really are, but we'll show you how to break free from all that noise. And we ain't stopping there. We'll be checking out how society's idea of success can mess with our heads, making it hard to find our inner balance. We'll take a hard look at how the media pushes its own agenda and how it ain't always about the stuff society tells us will make us happy. We'll be pushing hard for self-awareness and calling out the fake stuff that's been holding us back. So, stick around for some real talk on what it means to find true happiness. In this journey, we're gonna tackle the messed up ideas in our brain development and how they mess with our feelings and moves. We're gonna peep how planned brainwashing messes with our bad vibes and shapes our ideas, even about love, media, fun stuff, and what our crew thinks are big players in how we feel. We're gonna call out the lack of looking inside ourselves in schools, leading us to believe some twisted stuff about life. Keeping doing stuff the same way makes us think it's all good, messing with how we feel. What we pick up from different places shapes how we act and leaves a mark on us. The paper tells us to wonder why brainwashing goes down, pushing us to find better mental vibes. It's all about how feelings steer our thoughts, moves, and how we talk about our feelings without even thinking about it. As we wrap up, we're gonna peep a change in how folks chase power. Back in the day, it was all about force, but now it's about controlling minds. We're gonna break down how the big shots twist info, spin stories, and quietly control talks to keep folks in line. This control game is like a secret dance, where the puppeteers pull strings and the puppets don't even know it. It's a crazy web of control, mixing in every part of our lives, shaping how we think, what we want, and what we do to fit the big shots plans. The vid throws down the challenge to wake up to how we let this control happen and how they trick us into giving up our say. It's all about digging into the stuff we don't see and finding ourselves. We ride hard for chasing knowledge, truth, and knowing who we really are on the road to getting woke. To wrap it up, this deep talk wants you to peep where your beliefs and wants come from and to shake off the mental chains, finding your real self in the crazy mix of life. If this vid got you thinking, show some love by hitting that like button, sharing it with your crew, subscribing, and ringing that bell to stay in the loop with our mind-bending content. Big ups for rolling with us on this ride to know yourself and get woke at the Knowledge of Self Academy.
Summary. In this deep dive, we embarked on a journey uncovering how indoctrination be pulling the strings on our emotions and moves. We showed how language plays a big part in shaping how we see the world, linking up with indoctrination and materialism. As we went along, We dug into the power of looking inside ourselves to grasp learned behaviors and level up our self-awareness. We didn't shy away from biases, peeping how they mess with our adaptability and fuel discrimination. We got into emotions, seeing how they call the shots in our choices, and the heavyweights like depression and anxiety that stick with us. We broke down how repetition boosts our game and how language ain't just words, it's about takin on worldviews and moves that shape our reality. As we kept rolling, the doc got us thinking about how indoctrination paints our picture of reality, bondin folks with similar indoctrination tales. We went even deeper into emotions and how they run our show, talking about how planned indoctrination messes with our goals and hides who we really are. This doc gave props to introspection and sticking to it as ways to bust out of emotional lockdown. This journey also peeped into how society's definition of success messes with our vibe, throwing off our emotional balance. We looked into how the media spins things to push hidden agendas, breaking down the myth that happiness only comes from hitting certain goals. Society's take on happiness has a big sway on us, and this doc hammers home the need for introspection and clocking how indoctrination works. In this deep dive, we squared up with the misconceptions clouding our thoughts and how they mold our moves and feels. We peeped how planned indoctrination twists up negative vibes and shapes our views, like the fairy tale of romantic love. Media, entertainment, and even what our crew thinks throw big waves in our emotional sea. The doc called out the lack of soul-searchin in schools, saying it leads to us takin in the wrong life lessons. It chopped it up about how replaying behaviors tricks us into thinking they're the norm and messes with our feels. Where we learn stuff from shapes how we move and groove. We're prompted to ask why indoctrination goes down and to work on feeling better. It broke down how emotions call the shots in our minds and actions, and how the words we use to chat about our feelings just flow naturally. As we near the end of the ride, we peep a shift in the quest for power. Back in the day, it was all about flexing muscle, but now, mental control holds just as much weight. We see how the big dogs use info and stories to quietly pull the strings on folks who don't even know they're being played. This control game's like a secret groove, where the big shots slyly make moves without us catching on. It's a slick system, woven into everything we do, shaping our thoughts, cravings, and moves to match the big shot's game plan. The doc nudges us to ponder why we let this grip tighten and how they get us nodding along. It tells us to peep the hidden strings we miss and mull them over. It's all about digging into knowledge, truth, and finding your true self to level up. In the wrap-up, this long chat throws the door wide open, inviting us to track where our ideas and wants really come from and bust free from the mind games, so we can truly find ourselves in the wild maze of life.
Unveiling the Puppet Masters, How Indoctrination Pulls the Strings. Season 4. Lecture 1. Section, Real Talk. April 11th of 2024. Respected peeps with sharp minds. I'ma dive deep into some real talk here, laying down insights that shape how we see the world. I'm dropping this knowledge to help y'all see clearer, 'cause I know it ain't always easy to peep the realness. So, do me a solid and listen this stuff more than once, 'cause that's how we really gonna get it. Ever take a sec to think about where your life's headed? Sometimes, we get so caught up in our day-to-day that we forget our feelings steer the ship, shaping our experiences. We gotta realize a lot of what we chase, our goals, desires, all that, it's been drilled into us, you know. Our education pushes us towards these standard ideas of success. But real talk, only once we hit those marks do we start thinking outside the box. And that's when we can truly find ourselves. So, let me ask you this, what's your reality looking like right now? If I asked what would make you happy every single day, what would you say? And when we talk about happiness, what we really mean? Is it keeping cool no matter what life throws at us? Some might doubt that's even possible. But that's where I come in, showing you the ropes on how life shapes us, for real. Many of y'all might be saying that to be truly happy, you gotta have good health, solid relationships, a comfy place to live, and money in the bank. I ain't saying those things don't matter, they do. Plenty of folks out there got all that and more. But when we really dig deep, we find that true happiness ain't just about checking off boxes. Most of us either roll with what we got or bust our tails trying to get what we think we need to be happy. Society's got us thinking success looks a certain way, so we follow the same old paths, starting businesses, getting educated, hustling, eating right, chasing that paper. But let's keep it real, some folks might get tempted by doing things they shouldn't. I wanna make it crystal clear, I ain't ever gonna condone no illegal or shady stuff. But I'm all about supporting those who grind hard to make their lives better. Even with all our hustle, life can throw some serious curveballs, making it tough to reach our goals. So, here's the big question. How much does life's rough side mess with our heads while we're trying to chase our dreams? And what even is life's harsh reality, anyway? Let's kick off today's convo by digging into that last question. Like, bustin' our butts working extra hours to make ends meet? That's just part of life's rough deal, you know. Same goes for pullin' all-nighters to crush it in school or dealin' with difficult folks at work. And don't even get me started on battlin' extreme weather, that's straight-up harsh reality right there. So yeah, we dealin' with life's rough side on the regular. Now, here's the million-dollar question, can we make life's harshness less harsh? Can we toughen up our emotional game? We see folks out there facing the same struggles as us, but they keep it together like it's no biggie. Maybe they're wired different or maybe they got a better setup than us, who knows? As humans, we tend to judge others based on our own reality and feelings. But here's the kicker, we're all unique. What makes sense to one person might not to another, 'cause we all got our own experiences and ways of seeing things. Sure, there are folks who vibe with us, see things our way. And most of the time, they're on the same page about what's right or wrong, you dig? But here's the thing, what's cool in one situation might not fly in another. It's all about playing the scene right. So why do so many of us see eye to eye on stuff? 'Cause it makes sense to us, plain and simple. It's all about finned in, that common ground, you feel me? Life's like this intricate tapestry, woven with threads of how we see, feel, and act, all tangled up in a wild dance. It's like a symphony of being woke and not, and understanding our emotions in this dance helps us unlock the secrets of our existence. In this crazy world, we often get caught up reacting to stuff, letting our learned responses call the shots instead of our true selves. We cruise through life, reactin' left and right, not even clockin' that our moves ain't just us, they're what we've picked up along the way, how we've been trained to react. Our view of what's real, our reality, it's shaped by the words we use to describe it. We learn to slap labels on situations, callin' 'em oppressive, rough, or chill. Them words become our roadmap for making sense of life. So, the reality we live in, it's built from the words we've learned. Take something like losing your wallet or purse. Most folks would say it's sad, unlucky, or straight up depressing. But them words ain't just labels, they got power, changing how we feel to match the description. Sadness, for example, hits us in the body, slumpin' shoulders, low energy, eyes down. It's like our emotions are puppets, and the words we use are pullin' the strings, shapin' how we see things. In a world where folks think happiness comes from having stuff, our minds become prime targets for being played. When we believe happiness is all about getting things or frontin' with our emotions, we lose our dignity and become easy prey for materialism. And when we lose our possessions, it can push us into doing stuff that goes against our values, showing how messed up the system can be. Society lays down the rules, telling us what we should chase after: branded gear, fancy lifestyles, eye-candy partners, and flashy trips. They make us think that's the dream life. But that just leads more folks down shady paths, chasing quick thrills with illegal or sketchy moves. Clubs, casinos, and expensive toys become band-aids for that empty feeling inside. This problem's so deep, it makes us wonder where it all comes from. Are these desires just wired into us, or is it society teaching us what we should want? That's the million-dollar question. But there are folks out there sticking to their morals, keeping it real and finding joy in the simple life. We gotta dig deep into why they make them choices and really think about why we crave what we do. Only way to do that is to look in the mirror and untangle the mess that ties our desires to society's grip. Them folks who stay true to their principles. They stand out in society, their integrity shining bright. But even they ain't immune to the influences around them. Our actions are like containers for our feelings. They're shaped by the moves we make, and every move tells a story about what's going on inside. Our actions, they're like the language of our emotions, speaking loud and clear about what we've picked up along the way. When we take a peek inside ourselves and check out our knee-jerk reactions, we start seeing how much our lives are run by these habits. We look deep into our minds and peep how our bodies react to what we feel. We watch ourselves dealing with life, feeling our muscles tense up, getting all stressed out, depending on how much we care about something. Through self-reflection, we get to see how our inner world plays out in the world outside. We learn how we've been wired up and start making moves to upgrade ourselves. In this journey, self-reflection's our GPS. It points us toward bettering ourselves and getting woke. It's a trip into the core of being human, where we figure out how our feelings, thoughts, and actions all come together to uncover the truth about who we are. Our biases, them deep-set beliefs in our heads, they got a major say in what we do. They stay hidden, lurking in our minds, and can make us act unfair toward folks who don't fit society's mold. Picture this: a brother walks into a store, and suddenly, the employees making noise, trying to hustle him out quicker. Them kinda situations, they show how biases mess with our moves, making us treat people different just 'cause of their skin color. As humans, we tend to size up others' moves based on our own stories and vibes. But that can make it tough to see we ain't all cut from the same cloth. What makes sense to one person might be all about their own journey. But there are folks who see things just like us. Most folks round here got the same ideas about what's cool and what ain't, what's respectful and what's straight up rude. They follow the same playbook for how to act, knowing what's good in one scene might not fly in another. It's like a golden rule that goes for all kinds of situations. So why do most folks agree on what's right and wrong? 'Cause it makes sense, it's the real deal, and most folks dig it, just like we do. But sticking to the same old mindset and acting like life's always gonna be the same. That's like putting chains on our ability to roll with the punches. It keeps us boxed in and makes it hard to handle life's twists and turns. Now, check this out: think about how our day-to-day grind can mess with our vibes, both inside and out. We feel emotions that stick around, like a heavy cloud of sadness or that constant jitter of anxiety. Life's got its highs and lows, and they can drag us down into a funk that just won't quit. You probably met folks who stay mad, stressed, or blue all the time. When them emotions take over, they change how we feel deep down and how we deal with the world. That's what we call depression or anxiety. No matter if it's good vibes or bad juju, emotions got a heavy hand in the moves we make. It's like we're vessels for all kind of feelings, and each one leaves its mark on us. The emotions we vibe with the most, they set the tone for our whole deal. Now, for some folks, these ideas might be brand new and need some unpacking. We all know how it goes: practice makes perfect. Think about learning to write or read. At first, it's rough, but with time, it's like second nature. Soon as we pop out of the womb, we start picking up stuff left and right, and that learning don't stop as we grow up. We pick up how to talk and move by watching the folks round us. As we learn to talk, we also pick up different ways of talking, little quirks, and ways of seeing things. And all that becomes our new normal. While we're learning, we also soak up how the folks round us see the world. So, when we're chillin' with folks who learn like we do, we tend to see things in similar ways. Ain't nobody just gonna drop, why do emotions shape your reality, in casual convo? That's some next level stuff. Teaching this mindset takes time and patience, and as you read this, you're taking a trip deep into your own mind. You might even start wondering if your view of the world is truly yours or if it's been shaped by other folks' ideas. To break it down even more, peep some examples. Think about how your emotions color your world. When you're all riled up, that irritation takes over, messing with your vibe and throwing off your game. And if that irritation sticks around, it starts messing with what you think is normal. You start leaning on that feeling, hunting for situations that bring it out, based on your own take. It's like living in a world where irritation's always chillin'. But peep this, these experiences ain't the whole story of who you are, fam. For a lot of folks, gettin' to know themselves means checkin' out stuff like bein' part of the human race, their gender, their role in their fam, their gig, what kind of vibe they got, their mood swings, and how they move. Some brainiacs in psych, like the one studyin' how genes mess with our moves, they say our behavior can get a nudge from our genes. But they also say the world we live in, our environment, that's the real boss in shapin' our genes and how we act. So, while genes might push us one way, it's the world we in that really sets the tone for how we move. Basically, how we see the world, how we peep and understand things, it's all about our minds, and that's all shaped by what's around us. So, we move in based on how we've been taught to see things. When somebody's view of the world gets wrapped up in what's going on around them, it's like the world cosignin what they already think. That makes them less likely to question if what they believe is really the truth. Like I said before, it's key to run through this material a few times. Repeatin' it helps you really get what's going on and grab hold of ideas that might not be crystal clear right off the bat. The main goal of this ride is to help you uncover the hidden powers inside you. These powers might seem like your true self, but they're really just heavy hitters influencing your thoughts, vibes, and moves. We call them internal forces, and they gonna roll with you on this journey of self-discovery. But in reality, these forces are just your emotions, cleverly twisted to serve the interests of the bigwigs in charge, keepin' you in check without you even clockin' it. By gettin' into introspection, which is like peepin' deep into your own self, you start catchin' those automatic reactions that kick in without you even noticin'. You might clock the emotions bubblin' up inside, but wonder if you can change how you feel. Like, you stroll down a street and see a young cat beggin', and it sets off a whole bunch of questions in your head, like why they ain't out lookin' for a gig. That's what introspection's all about. It's about being woke to your thoughts and vibes in different scenes and how they pop up inside you, no matter what's going on around. As long as you're conscious, you can get down with introspection. This drill helps you spot the knee-jerk reactions you ain't even consciously running, but you think you are. Think about someone who's shy. Shyness gets seen as a flaw in your vibe, like you struggling to handle your feelings in certain situations. It's like there's these internal forces messin' with your view of what's going down. But by digging into introspection, a shy cat can peep these forces inside themselves. Here's the kicker: when a crisis hits, a shy cat might not even know why they feelin' shy. But just thinking about the situations where they felt shy before can bring back them same vibes quick. Sadly, a lot of folks dodge thinking about this stuff. But with introspection, by digging into the memories, they can kick these forces to the curb over time. Shyness, and other mind tricks, they got some clear signs. But the forces pushin' our moves, they sneakier. We spot 'em, but we start wonderin' if we even got a say in 'em. Now, here's the real question: how we know if them internal forces, droppin' emotions on us without even a skin, ain't really our own makin'? Truth is, them forces, they part of us, but they've been twisted by outside vibes. We talkin' 'bout the folks raisin' us. They might not be straight up molding our view of the world, but the process starts early, like when we still babies. By the time we grown, what we think is real is just a mirror of what we've been taught. The big shot's view of the world, it's deep in our bones, and we don't even realize how much control we handed over. Every person we meet, every influence we come across, it just keeps hammering in this way of thinking. So, we stuck in a world that's all in our heads, like mice trying to find a way through our own maze. This brainwashing game, it's all about serving a few and messing with the rest of us. It got roots in history, in the legacy of oppression. So, we barely even blink when we see straight-up craziness, it just seems normal. But peep this, understanding our deal, breaking free from all that emotional brainwashing, finding our true selves, that takes some serious grit and strength. And by doing that, we snatch back our control from them outside forces. Our brain power, including our imagination, gut feelings, drive, memory, how we peep stuff, and how we think, they all get hemmed in by this tight system of brainwashing. When our thoughts and vibes stuck in these set ways, it's a real struggle to keep our emotions in check. And on top of that, we don't even see how the knee-jerk reactions set us up to fail. It's big to know that failing often gets seen as not making the grade, not hitting our goals. For a lot of folks, stuff like snagging a degree, landing a top gig, finding love, or stacking up things, that's the win. I get where this comes from, 'cause I've been soaked in them same beliefs. In our journey to know ourselves, we gotta peep how we see the world. We gonna use tools like digging deep into our thoughts and vibes, and meditation. And down the line, we gonna get into this idea of our higher self. Through this deep dive into ourselves, we might catch a glimpse of a real kind of win that lines up with who we truly are. To really get these ideas, we gotta admit that what we think about the world gets molded by the shulin we get and the society we grow up in. That's why we often look up to folks with fame, cash, or looks, values pushed not just by the media but by our whole vibe, from how we brought up to where we hang out. When we start digging into what shapes how we see life, we run into a major player, the media. It's all over, and it's slick at making us believe that cash and stuff gonna bring us joy. So, we always chasing after money, degrees, partners, rides, gigs, and all sorts of stuff, thinking they gonna unlock our happiness. But hold up a sec and peep this, thinking our happiness rides on stuff we grab from the outside world don't quite match up with real life. We all look up to role models who seem happy 'cause of their cash, looks, and fame, while brushing off how the media keeps feeding us this fantasy. We gotta ask why this brainwashing, mainly through the media, got such a grip on us and why we so hooked on it. Our obsession with these outside things runs deep in our bones. Clocking the sneaky motives behind this brainwashing, especially by the media, helps us see how it really calls the shots. In this world, carefully put together by the media, our society, and other big hitters, we put everything into chasing after stuff we think gonna make us happy. This brainwashing, through the media and other channels, tricks us into thinking this fake world is where it's at. Stuff like cash, fame, looks, and findin, that dream boo, that's what a lot of us see as the road to happiness. But some folks aim for different things, like findin', a job they love, gettin' their finances in order, raisin' kids, or just livin' easy. Even when we go after our goals with some balance, we gotta ride out the highs and lows of our feelin' journey. Shouldn't we try to soak up every minute of our lives and really feel it all? If you feelin' this vibe, then we can find joy in every moment, whether we hustlin' for our goals or just chillin' in the now. We don't gotta wait for big moments like graduation, a gig, or winning something to be happy. But this brainwashing got us thinking these moments are everything, making us miss the bigger picture of life. You ever hear someone say, "Thank God it's Friday"? It's like we think happiness only comes from big moments instead of takin in the whole ride. We've been raised to think joy gotta come from outside stuff. So, when we lose that outside stuff, we feelin' down. Our upbringing made it tough to see life from a different angle. We gotta wonder if we chose to see life like this or if we've been trained into it. When we hunger for something we can't reach, it can mess us up deep 'cause the person who got what we want got power over us. So, we end up caught between our wants and our need to cover basic bases. Our idea of joy, it ain't just something we figure out on our own, it's fed to us and shaped by the vibe of everyone around. That's why what we reckon gonna make us happy often lines up with what others learn through the same deal. As long as our immediate vibe matches up with the regular way of living, we feel like we belong. But if our view of reality don't match up with our crew, we feel like we don't fit in. Sometimes, folks might try to cheer us up by saying things gonna get better in our usual scene. Like, imagine you work in the cash register, and folks ask how you doin'. You say, "Aight," and they try to reassure you that things gonna look up. But low-key, they might hint that workin' a cash gig ain't top tier, kinda suggestin' your life ain't as good as them folks in high-valued gigs like bein' a doc or a lawyer. Gradually, we start buyin' into this view, even if our chosen hustle ain't fit the regular definition of winning. It's 'cause we've been trained to see it that way. Money struggles can hit hard, and in them spots, a gig with more cash can look real tempting. But if we buy into the idea that our gig decides our joy, we stuck feelin' unhappy all the time. We always sour on our grind just 'cause it don't match up with what others reckon success is. We've been told that our true joy comes from having stuff like a steady gig, gettin' hitched, and lookin' fly. It ain't easy takin in new ideas, 'cause our emotions already set to make us uneasy when we come across stuff that don't match what we learned early on. And them ideas stick, 'cause folks who been through the same drill keep hammerin' 'em in. We gotta remember, everything goes down right now, in this moment. If we keep thinking our joy only gonna come from far-off wins, we miss out on feelin' good right here, right now, leaving us feelin' empty inside. The stuff I've been talking about, it's worth chewing on. But our minds got a hard time staying focused on the now. Once we get used to seeing life a certain way, we let them automatic thought patterns take over. Our acceptance of how things are right now can block us from seeing our true selves. Our thoughts always swirling round in our heads, and they shape how we feel. Watching how these thoughts and vibes mix up is real interesting. We quick to slap labels like sadness, frustration, or shame on our feelings. Once we put a name on them, they got the power to make us feel stuck and stop us from making our own moves. It's like some outside force, guided by what society says is right, done snuck into our minds and took over our feelings. Them norms come from how we was brought up and got deep in our bones. This here situation brings up some big questions. Can we switch up the words we use to describe these so-called bad vibes, giving us a fresh take and maybe some new fixes? Are these emotions for real, or they just a result of how we've been brought up? How we gonna shake off these same old negative feels that keep holding us back? Digging into these questions means takin, a real close look at the wrong ideas that been steering our thoughts since we was young. Think about how deep sadness cuts into our minds and bodies. Other bad vibes hit us just as hard in their own way. Like I said before, every bit of what we think we know, even the stuff we reckon we came up with on our own, got pushed on us heavy by the way we've been raised. Take the idea of romantic love, for example, all wrapped up with thoughts like, I can't live without you, or, life ain't nothing without you. That view of love, it got shaped by a bunch of stuff like the media, shows, friends, family, and more. But before we just swallow it whole, shouldn't we think about how it gonna play out in our lives? Sad truth is, most of our shulin don't teach us how to look inside ourselves, to do that real soul-searchin. So, we end up takin on all kinda messed up ideas about life, some of them we hold real tight. Ever got some well-meaning advice from folks who, 'cause of their own life happenings, give you pointers based on what they know? Happens 'cause we all been shaped by similar stuff that's molded how we think. It's wild how folks from different spots can still react alike 'cause of this shared way of seeing things. As we go through life, we find ourselves stuck in the same old behavior loops we reckon is normal. This normal way of moving through life really colors how we see things and how we deal with life's twists and turns. Let me paint a picture for you. Picture you a kid watching your pops go all out happy when his fave baseball team scores a big win. That moment gets stuck in your head, making you think that your own happiness is tied up with your team's success. Without even knowing it, you start believing that real joy only comes from your team taking the win. This simple story, starting off all innocent-like, can have a big say in lots of parts of our lives. It shapes what we like, puts walls between folks, and makes us think that being happy means throwing a party every time your team comes out on top. We wrongly reckon that only coming out on top can bring joy, and we put them players on a pedestal who make it happen. This way of thinking ain't just about sports, it touches lots of other parts of our lives too. If we take a good look at the tricky inner workings of our minds, we'll see that most of what we do is shaped by the stuff we learn. Could it be our minds just doing their thing by chance, or is there some organized plan behind it all? Where do we pick up the moral and ethical guideposts that help us figure out life's hurdles? They come from the books we read, the stuff we watch and listen to, the tunes that speak to our souls, the flicks that grab our attention, and the teachings of them folks we look up to like preachers, teachers, parents, neighbors, and pals. Together, these sources build up a network of folks who leave a big mark on how we act. But what we might not clock is that our way of moving through life, this tangled mix of feelings and moves, got quietly dropped on us when we were most impressionable. Our emotions, silently dictating how we react to stuff, keep steering us based on the ideas we got from the jump. In our search for standing out, we sometimes miss that our adaptability was plotted out, a slick move to make it easier to sway us. It's key to get that our folks, preachers, teachers, neighbors, and pals ain't out to do harm. They done gone through similar journeys and got caught in the same thinkin' trap. So, our shared experiences and the need for connectin' bring together them who see eye to eye with us. The harmony in our beliefs comes from being exposed to the same lessons. But still, as we dive deep, we can't help but wonder why we stuck in this teaching cycle, where bad feelings keep messin' with our heads and bodies. In this first breakdown, I'm trying to get you thinking about how our emotions big time mold how we view the world in our ongoing quest to know ourselves better. Emotions, more than just vague vibes, pack a punch on both our physical and mental selves. Our thoughts, them quiet whispers of thinkin', got a big sway on our emotions, which then shape how we feel in our minds and bodies. At the end of the day, they guide our moves and how we put ourselves out there. The words we pick to explain our feelings ain't random, they show how flexible our minds can be. The words we just naturally drop to talk about our emotions ain't something we think about, they just pop up, deep-rooted in our heads. All through history, folks been chasing after power and control. They done tried all kinds of ways to get a grip on others. Back in the day, it was all about physical strength, but over time, things done shifted. Now, there's a more sly but just as strong way of takin, control, messin' with folks' heads. In this game of mental tricks, individuals, sometimes working for bigger power structures, know how to play on the way folks naturally think and act. They ain't using force up front, instead, they takin advantage of our natural tendencies. This kind of control is smooth, relying on the idea that them being controlled don't even realize they given up their power, thinking they free when they really ain't. It's like a secret dance of control, where the puppeteer pullin' the strings so slick, the puppets think they callin' the shots. This whole system works 'cause it makes mental slavery seem normal. Them in charge moldin' the general attitudes and beliefs to make folks think this slavery just how things supposed to be. They use twistin' info, spinnin' tales, and nudgin' public talks as their main tools in this sneaky game. This control seepin into every part of our lives, making us think, want, and act just how they want us to. We stuck in this tangled web, often without even wondering why. It's like we willingly give up our freedom for a taste of security and fitting in. They craft our agreement and smoothly pull our submission. For those not peepin' close, it might seem like just flowin' with the crowd, vibin' with the norms, and followin' the old ways. But it's in this lockstep that we find ourselves trapped, each playing a role in this big game of mental control. As we dive deep into this heavy topic, let it light a fire in you to dig deeper. The hunt for knowledge, the chase for truth, and the constant check-in of our own existence call out to those brave enough to question, those hungering to break free from the unseen chains keeping their minds locked down. Let this intro stir up your curiosity, pushing you on your own path toward more wisdom and self-knowing.